I'd like to talk about how to get the most out of your weighted vest for those weight-bearing walks. The most important thing when you're walking is to be able to have a posterior push-off. And what I mean by that, I'm going to turn sideways for you, is that when you're walking, what truly happens is we're pushing off from heel to bum. That push-off propels us forward. We slide this leg through and we go again with a push-off now on the other side. So that's what we want out of it to build our hip and our femur. What oftentimes happens is people are much more stuck in the front of their body, so they end up doing what's a controlled fall. You're using your hip flexors more to bring your leg forward, and you're kind of leaning forward and falling on it. The only way you'd really know is if you were watching a slow motion video of you walking. But if you have really tight calves and you spend a lot of time sitting, then you're probably a little bit in the falling versus walking. It's falling that looks like walking, but it's not really walking. So let's talk about how do we get that posterior push-off. Well, the first thing you need is you need flexible ankles. So you need to be able to dorsiflex. This is a that's not a dorsiflex, this is. So we need that. The other thing we need is we need to be able to get this leg behind us, and that doesn't mean arching your back to get it there. It means having the glute strength and the release in the front of your leg to be able to get your leg behind you. The next thing you need is you need enough strength to be able to stand on one leg, to be able to do that walking without falling. So how do we put it all together and walk? We do some preparation, and that's what I'd like to show you today. So the first thing I'd like to show you is a calf stretch. I like doing it on a half dome foam roller. There are a lot of people who do it hanging their calves off the back of a stair, but this allows you to work a little bit more on your alignment as well. So what we want is we always want our hip to be living above our ankle. So I'm actually going to do this side for you. And you can stand near a wall so that if for some reason you feel like you're going to topple over. So here I am with my foot on the half dome foam roller, and I'm looking to have my hip over my ankle. And now I'm going to see what I can do with the other foot. I'm starting to feel a stretch in my calf, or some sensation there. I'm seeing how far I can get this foot forward and maintain this alignment here. If I go a lot forward, you can see that I've shifted and my hip is now it's over my toes. So I'm going to walk it back. I'm going to find the stretch, keeping my hip over my ankle. I might even touch the wall so that I can play with where is that. Now I've found it. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to stretch. I might even bend this knee a little bit, and now I'm getting into a deeper calf muscle called the soleus. I might straighten it back out, and now I'm back in the gastroc. And I'm resting and allowing it to do its work. You probably want to be here for 30 seconds or so, and I'm probably not going to stay that long. And I'll show you the other side so you can play along with me if you want. And what you'll notice when I do the other side, in order to keep my hips over my ankle, I'm going to hold on to this so I can play around. That's really not working. I'm not quite as far. So now I know that I'm much tighter on my right side in the back. Just something good to know. And I'm going to breathe, let my ribs stay inside my body. Look straight ahead. Make sure my hip is back over my ankle. And then I'm going to put this in the center, and I'll get a double leg stretch. So now I'll put both feet up. I want to make sure that I keep my back flat as I kind of hinge over. Not kind of hinge, I do hinge over. And I'm feeling it personally more up in the hamstring, right where it's attaching closer to my knee. So I want to keep a neutral spine. Some people call it a flat back. It's not actually flat, but that's the idea. And I'd like to keep my feet both pointing forward and my ribs in my body. And I'm actually shaking a little bit. And then I'll come up out of that. So that was the calf stretch. To add on to what we want to do with getting our foot into dorsiflexion, one was the calf stretch, and the next is going to be an actual dorsiflexion exercise. So I'm standing on this block. I could be doing this kneeling as well, but for a lot of people, getting down on their knees is not fun, so we'll do it standing. And what I want to do is see, can I, and you could put your hands here, can I move my knee forward and touch the wall? No, I can't. So I'm going to move the block closer, and I'm going to go forward. I don't want to stick my bum out. I don't want to arch my back. I'm just going to see. And yeah, I can just barely get there. So I'm here, and I'm coming back out. And let's do that second time. And I hate to be turning towards the camera too much because it's really not good for my alignment. And last time. And then I'll switch sides. And we go again. And I'm noticing I don't actually have quite the same amount of dorsiflexion here. I'm almost getting to the wall. So this is a really good place. It's challenging. I'm there. I now touched the wall this time. So what I want to do is probably stay here for a week or 2 weeks. Do this every other day maybe. You could do it every day. And then move my block back a little bit and see if I can extend my range. So doing that combination is really going to help with the dorsiflexion. So now we have to go back to the other components, and we talked about extending the leg behind you. The first part of that is, what if we're all tight and jacked up in the front? So my favorite thing to do is a Soaz Release. You can have a bolster. It's a lot cushier and more comfy than my block right here. So the bolster would be bigger and would probably be better for a lot of people. But I can get myself on the block. The block is right around the bra strap area, the bottom of it. And I'm going to put the half dome foam roller on, and I want to make sure that I've got it on in a way that my head is secure. And then I'm going to slowly lengthen out my legs. I'm going to move this shirt up so you can see the color contrast a little better, and you can see where I am in terms of my spine. And now I'm going to start releasing my psoas, and I do that by relaxing and coming down. And for me, I like to put my hands on my rib cage. And with each exhale, I think about just allowing my belly to be soft and my ribs to kind of grow together, sinking towards the ground. My psoas, that big hip flexor, starts at my 12th rib in the back, and it goes all the way down and attaches to my leg. So as it courses through my body and attaches all the way down near my knee, that's how it can be a hip flexor. It's being pulled forward during the day by a lot of sitting and possibly controlled fall walking. So we're just going to relax and allow it to go back into your body. And you may notice, if you can manage to stay here for 10 minutes, you might want to turn on a movie or a TV show. As you breathe and let go, you may find that this space changes a little bit. You're getting a little closer to the ground because you're not being pulled forward. But a good 10 minutes for sure. I've been known to watch an entire movie here, and then I really am a lot closer to the ground. But I can feel that there's some release, and that feels beneficial. And now we'll come up from our Soaz Release. and we're ready to work on the next component, vital component, and that is leg extension. That's how we get our leg back behind us in a way that we have a strong glute and strong lateral hips so that we can continue to propel ourselves forward. So we're going to stay on the ground and do a glute bridge. And got to remember to go down safely. So I'm going to use my block. You could use a ball. I'm going to put it in between my legs. And you can put it any way that feels comfortable for you. I'm going to move this hand out of the way so that you can see what's going on. What I want to do is I want to push down through my heels and bridge straight up. I'm not curling and tucking my spine, and I'm also not lifting my ribs and overarching my low back. So one of the key things that I like to demonstrate for people, and you can try this with me, is if I were to sort of dig my toes forward, not dig them, almost like I'm sliding them forward, and then I do a little bridge up, I can feel my calves really strongly engaged. And that's not exactly the point of this exercise. If I drag my heels towards my bottom and then push up, I really feel my hamstrings, which if I wanted a hamstring exercise, that would be great too. But what I really want here is I want to engage my glutes. So what I'm going to do is push straight down through my heels, and I'm taking this crease here in my pants and I'm opening it up and smoothing out the fabric. And then I'm coming back down. So we're going to do that 10 times. My hands are now going to go back down on the ground. So I go 1, 2, and notice that I'm trying to keep my face looking straight up, keep my ribs in my body. And now I'm on 6, I believe. I don't want my head back here. I might need a little towel. And I'm starting to feel my glutes, and I think I'm actually going to go past 10 and go up to 12. And then I'm going to turn to the side, adjust, and get up safely. So the next part of the exercise is a hip list. I'm going to just show it to you standing on the ground. I'm going to come up safely and get ready for my hip list. Just going to tuck my wire back in. So what I want to do in my hip list is continue to work on my glutes, but now I'm working really on the medial glute, a little more out to the side, the whole side hip, and that's going to help me with my walking as well. So what is a hip list? It's when we stand into one leg and we're able to lift the other leg off the ground, and not like this. We're not going to use our hip flexors. It's just going to be the downward movement, in this case, of my left hip. So I'm pushing into my heel. My hip has to be over my heel to make this work. I'm pushing into my heel, but I'm also not allowing that to happen. I'm keeping my body towards the middle. So I'm thinking about if I actually had somebody standing here at my side, as I push down, I'm putting my hand on my side to remind me. And of course, I want to lift this leg, so this is one action where I've got just a little kickstand. I'm going to let go of that kickstand, and I'm going to see if I push down, maybe use an exhale, getting my sticky foot off the ground, and see if maybe I could hover this foot. It's almost skimming on the mat, but it is off the ground. And you can see this is a balance exercise. I'm wiggling around a little bit, but I feel my medial glute working. We're going to go to the other side, and I'm just going to demonstrate for you, getting my foot to not be sticking on the ground again. I'm pushing down, heel, my heel to butt connection. I can feel that, making sure I don't slide out to the side. If I was going to use my low back over here to lift it up, I can feel it. So maybe if I'm not sure, I might put my hand on my low back and see that it's just a tiny, tiny sliver of a float because I'm not using my low back over here to lift myself up. In both cases, on both sides, I really felt my lateral hip working. Let's do that again. Pushing down, and every time I want to bend my knee and help myself, and we're not going to do that. I'll do this standing in line at the grocery store.
And gosh, right now the grocery store lines are kind of long. Straightening out that knee. So I might go back and forth, maybe 3 times. I'll do this multiple times throughout the day. If someone was standing really far away from me, maybe even 100 yards, it wouldn't even look like I was lifting a foot. It'd be imperceptible, so it's that tiny. That hip lift really helps us build that medial glute that we need. If you think about the walking, we just worked on the glutes and the medial glute that we use when we're on that single leg balance. So that's why we do that. I'm picking up my band to do some monster walks, my last way of really working on my glutes again. So I will do 10 steps to each side, and I'll do this 4 times, so 2 in each direction. And just as another note, we're talking about a little baby squat when I do it. You can see that maybe my knees move forward a teeny bit, but not a lot. The reason is that I want to build my glutes, not something else. So I'm not really opposed to people doing something with their knees forward from time to time. It's good to know how to be in all ranges of motion, but we're working on our glutes in this exercise. So we're going to have a hip hinge, so that's the hip hinge, and then a baby squat. So let me turn facing you, hands on my hips, and we'll go to the side. I'm making my steps rather small so that I don't go totally off screen. And I didn't even get to 10, but I'm going to go back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I made it 8, and now I'm at the wall. And then I'll go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what I want you to think about is just put your hands on your low back. Make sure you don't feel some big arch in your low back, or check your ribs and make sure your ribs aren't sticking out. So once you have all that in line, I feel my glutes. They've really worked. And I'm ready to put my weighted vest back on and go for a walk. This way, I know that I'm going to get the most out of this weighted vest walking and really load my hips. So good luck, and hit me up with any questions.